Welcome back here on the show, and this is News Flash here this morning. We're taking a look at some of the issues that have come up, and in the studio with me this morning, Manasseh Atta-Banahina is here with me, and he's government spokesperson on economy, and also Richard Manorebe is also here with us this morning, and he's representing the NDC communications team member joining us this morning. Gentlemen, how are you doing?
Good. Very well, by God's grace. Yes.
Super.
This
is the first time I'm hearing an NDC man say super.
Oh, but is it good?
Well. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's a super.
Yeah,
so
it means that
the economy is.
It is.
No, you should ask me about economy.
The economy is doing well.
Your general well-being is super.
You are asking. No, my general well-being.
If your general well-being is super,
this is quite hasty.
It means it's a reflective of the economy in your pocket.
Oh, no. You know how
that's your general well-being.
Super. We all know how you count.
I'm good. Super. But how's still going? Progress.
Things are getting better.
Yes. So there's difference between you being good and how things are going. Yes. Oh my goodness. Yes. Anyway, thanks for making time for us this morning here on the show. Now, I think Manasseh was very excited about some of the headlines we read this morning. So we're going to start off with the issue of Baumier's statement about he being Kufuor's seed and being nurtured by Nana.
But before you even go, who's the Mbappe you were talking about?
Oh, he's PSG striker. If Kylian Mbappe.
Radio or TV actually give results. In fact, I saw the thing on social media. I didn't take a critical look at it. I didn't know, I don't follow.
You probably think he was on president.
I don't follow football.
Oh, okay.
So I was like,
who is this guy?
There's one fair gentleman.
Yeah, he's in Cameroon right now. He plays for PSG. Yeah, he's won different attire. Coronation and all that.
Security but actually, I don't know anything about football.
Okay.
So I was like, I just brushed it through. It's all over social media. So until we were saying, I said, "Oh,
yeah, that's the guy." Yeah, he plays for the team Messi was playing for before he left PSG.
I've heard of Messi. I don't know why.
Yeah, that's him over there. That's him.
Oh, okay.
He's enjoying life in Cameroon. His father is from Cameroon, and so he decided to go home to visit and also get initiated into the Cameroonian country.
Where's your father coming from?
My father was Volta region whole.
Your father was coming from
who? Because he's no more.
Okay.
Don't ask any further. Don't ask any other one. Before you get disappointed. Anyway, so let's take a look at. I'll start with you, Manasseh.
Yes.
What do you make of this? This is for me. I feel this is more like a counter-attack to the whole Edrumiso thing. Now somebody feels that I am coming from two breeds, and I need to be, the one that is the special choice.
KMJ, a very good morning to you. A very good morning to Richard, and a very good morning to our cherished viewers. I mean, the statement by the Vice President is indeed true, and it is true that he is the seed of President Kufuor. He was discovered by President Kufuor. He was planted by President Kufuor, and he was the current president, His Excellency Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, who has watered the seed. If you remember, under President Kufuor in 2001, he was appointed the deputy governor of the Bank of Ghana, and so he has worked hand in hand with the former president. Then also, he served as the co-chair of the Economic Policy Coordinating Committee under President Kufuor. Then currently, he worked even before the 2016. He was the assistant or vice candidate to the then candidate Akufo-Addo, and he has the privilege of working as the vice president of the country, and so he has rich experiences from former President Kufuor and from the current president, and I'm not too sure if any of the candidates have this. And so when he says that it is very true and he has good working relationship with them, President Kufuor has said several times that Dr. Bawumia is his son. And Dr. Bawumia has also said several times that President Kufuor is his godfather. And so I don't, you see, we are careful with our primaries to ensure that whatever be the case, at the end, we would have to put ourselves together to break the 8. Yes, and so I don't see this as a jab to denigrate anybody or to denigrate anybody. He's only saying the truth. I don't know if anybody can come out with figures to dispute what he said. If indeed, if he didn't work under President Kufuor, they should let us know. But for me, I think it's true. And once again, I believe he's the best candidate to help us break the 8. Our focus is to break the 8. Our focus is to present someone who would cause Richard Marube and his family and the NDC to be crying and to be shivering and to be not to be sure of they themselves winning the 2024 elections. And for me, we know that given what he has done and given the expertise and the experience he has, he is no match for any of our candidates. I mean, when you talk about experience-wise, for him to even leave all that he had to do to represent the party in the 2012 election petition, it was great. And we also saw the level of intelligence he exhibited, giving some of the lawyers tough time in court. And so, for me, when it comes to the management of the economy, or when it comes to someone who is best fit to help us to break the 8 in terms of experience, in terms of servitude, in terms of everything, in terms of someone who presents a strong force to be able to help us break the 8, in terms of someone who will be able to move beyond their Akan communities and to ensure, especially in the north and in the upper regions, will be able to amass more votes. I believe it's the vice president.
But the others also argue the same case you're arguing for Bawumia now.
Sure.
I mean, Alan and the rest, they have all said several things that shows their commitment to the party and to the country as a whole. I mean, Alan has spoken about his initiatives at trade and all of that. Don't they also qualify in the same vein if we want to be using such records?
So you see, so far we've vetted about 10 party stalwarts. All of them do qualify. But what the party or what we are looking at is who is best fit, who is the best amongst them. Everybody, of course, can lead a party. But the aim is to help us break the 8. And you see, if we are to put their contributions, I mean, yes, everybody would. The agric minister, of course, will have his own contributions to government. The Alan will also have same. But when you put all of these together and you compare them to what the vice president has also brought on board, his digitalization agenda, don't forget that even the mobile money interoperability, which the NDC sought to do with some 1.2 billion US dollars, he was able to do this with about 4 million US dollars. And so it tells you that when you compare what he has done in terms of digitalization, in terms of the Ghana card, Ghana Post, everything, compared to what the other candidates to have brought on board, for me, I think the figures speak for themselves, and what the vice president has brought on board far outweighs what every other person has brought on board. Then also, we also talk about experience. For someone who has been the running mate for about 8 years, who has also been vice president, I think he has more experience than any other person, to say the least. So when it comes to someone who is strong, the NDC has always been calling for his name. And whenever he comes out to speak with his facts and figures and with his economic explanations, we all see what happens. The NDC clearly are afraid of him, and they know that once he wins, they are doomed. Because one critical thing the NDC has been doing with their, politicking is that they always send the message, they will ask for MPPs for the Akan people. If you are not an Akan, you can't lead. If you are not an Ashanti,
that conversation still go on.
It still holds. Don't forget that the NDC are masters when it comes to propaganda, KMJ. Don't forget. NDC are masters when it comes to propaganda and all these things.
I've not really heard that rhetoric,
It goes on every now and then.
We've heard in the past.
It does. It still hovers around. And so once we are able to present someone who is not within the Akan environment, I mean, we will break that. They cannot peddle that information again. All right. And when you look at what he has done, even within the Akan community, it's huge. When you go to the Kumasi Central Mosque, he played a leading role in renovating the structure over there. And so for him, given what he has done and what he can do, I believe that if he is able to win the primaries, which he would, I believe so, it would be great because we'll cripple the NDC in a lot of regards. They cannot campaign along tribal lines again. Then also, given the expertise, the former president has been president before. He was rejected by Ghanaians twice. And so going forward, they know what he has done before, and they know what someone who is even, he's just the vice president. Yes, he's the head of the economic management team, but it is only an advisory unit. He has no autonomous powers on his own. So even with that, without him having any autonomous power, if he's been able to contribute by way of digitalizing our Ghanaian economy, how much more? Imagine what he'll be able to do if he now becomes the flag bearer and the president of the country. He'll be able to do a lot of things on his own. That's how come he was confident in saying he has his own vision. He has his own vision for the country, and he will leverage on what we have been able to build so far as government. And so for me, I strongly believe that he's the best.
Are we going to get it to a point where, by decision, Alan will be the president, he will be the vice, or vice versa? Are we going to get to that point?
A lot of these conversations has happened. I mean, I'm not too sure what would happen after the primaries, but I mean, I don't know. I mean, it's up to them to decide in the party, of course. So let's say if the vice president wins and the party executives will want to have some conversations with Honorable Alan Kyerematen for him to be there. I mean, our focus once again is to break the 8. So if after our primaries we believe this is the best way to go, that's fine. If we believe otherwise too, that's fine. But what's important is for us to amend all the broken bridges to ensure that
you seem to speak for Bawumia in the case where
no, you see, I am also an economist. I am an economist.
But you've always been very confident. You've always been very confident about the candidature of Bawumia. No. You've been very confident about the candidature of Bawumia, no doubt about it.
Sure.
I'm saying, in an event where Alan wins, will Bawumia decide to be a vice president? Is this something that is possible?
KMJ, given what is happening on the grounds, I doubt. I am confident Dr. Bawumia will win. But I'm saying that whatever
Alan wins,
so what I'm saying is that
be available to be the vice president.
What I'm saying is that those conversations would be held by the executive and the man himself.
But
so
you seem to talk for him. So in your opinion, do you think that it's something he will welcome?
And I am even saying that in the first place, I am confident that Dr. Bawumia will win. Okay. That is my confidence. Should that not happen, as to whether this will be a conversation for another day after the primaries, but I am very confident. You see, I am an economist.
You're confident that he will win, but you're not confident that if he doesn't win, he will be a vice president.
No, what I am saying is that in case he doesn't win, it would be an indoor and a family conversation.
But do you think that he will be willing to be the vice president?
It's difficult to tell. It could be, it could not be. But for me, what I know is that...
You still stand by the fact that he
will win.
Richard.
That's it. Richard also believes he will win. Ask him.
But the LDC is looking for him. As for they want him to come, so they beat him. That's what they think.
They know they can't.
So as for they're waiting for him there. They've been waiting for him since.
No, it's only political talk. They are really afraid.
There's no doubt of Dr. Bawumia becoming a flag bearer of the NPP.
That's a done deal.
He will win. I know.
How do you know?
I know he will win.
Is that a problem for the NDC?
They will squeeze for him. They will squeeze for him. Government officials, the spokesperson of economy, every Monday is on this set. You go to that side, every day, everybody, government officials, members of parliament, they are there, they are doing their own
by
thing.
Voting, not by squeezing.
See, no, squeezing. Suppressing delegates. We all know we are in this business, we are all in there, we are in it together. But let me just say good morning to your cherished viewers and take this opportunity to speak to the people of Karachi West constituency. I normally like doing something. You know, I'm a concomber. And so I always use opportunity. Anytime you give me a platform, this is a prime television.
Yeah.
And so I do that because I know the feedback is looking good. So man do na beti ta kuyepo ne benyane Karachi area ya mole Karachi West constituency ke kita kuyepo man te ba tuni. Honorable Helen Toso, member of parliament, kasa parliamentary candidate ya. Mbakene me wa pa mole me machi na termai. Bana de pom school bi ya besa pom. No pom na ba campaign team on. Ke chen e na yon win in large margin. So that we really need a representative there. I mean, what I'm actually saying is a member of parliament, Honorable Helen Toso, you know, she's our mother. We are all of us our mother.
Yeah.
Yes, and then I believe that she has served diligently. I believe that she has done well for the constituency. As Menashe have accepted for her to become a member of parliament. Now NPP has been endorsing her. So I think that my brothers and sisters in the Concoma communities should all come out in their numbers and help her win that elections, so that we can also be proud of her. Because the NDC is coming to power. Is that strategy John Dramani Mahama is the next one?
You are not.
But this one. So we need her as our member of parliament. She's Oti Yasantua. You know, she's the only member of parliament in Oti region who is a female.
Oh, that's a good one.
Yes, and I know you believe in gender.
Oh, very much so. Very much so.
We will need that to help her win the elections.
Yeah. She has my support, actually.
Definitely, she has financial support.
Oh, she does.
No, she does. Anyway, I know Menasi will not support publicly.
You know,
publicly she will not support.
The NPP candidate.
It's about Dr. Bawumia aligning himself with President Kufuor. President John Dramani.
He says that he
has aligned himself with President Kufuor, President John Dramani Mahama, President John Niels, and every president in the Republic of Ghana.
How?
That's untrue.
No, I mean, I think that we live in a state where we want to build an economy, a robust economy that you and I can eat good well. I always say this. You know Maslow's theory of physiological needs. If you look at the hierarchy, I know you and I will one day will become. We'll reach the last peak of it. That's self-actualization. But we need our basic need: food, water, shelter, clothes, and actually a 2-bedroom house, and a small Tico car that can afford a very enable fuel. You know, when you use small car, you can buy good fuel, and even though it's expensive these days, those are the things we need, and that is what an ordinary Ghanaian is looking at. So constitutionally, by January 7th. December 7th, we'll go to the polls to elect a president again. And that will have a 1-month transition. So in a month time, we'll be swearing in His Excellency John Dramani Mahama as a president of the Republic of Ghana. Basically, all political parties need a presidential candidate to be able to face a democratic elections, isn't it? So that's what we are looking at. We are not looking at who is your friend and who has brought you and who has done what. You know, President Rawlings educated Bawumia very well. You know that? Are you aware? After leaving Damascus, Nkrumah gave him education because he enjoyed free education under President Nkrumah. When he left Damascus, you know Damascus, I've always said my father has 28 children and none of us has paid fees before I enjoyed another scholarship. So,
and you are fighting against the
Richard. Oh, hold on. So,
and you want to cancel the free
please, I just please.
Oh, so is that what he said?
No. Listen, I'm making a point. So let me look. It is people who that understand the educational system in this country that will say things they don't know like them. So I mean, I say might have enjoyed brilliant and needed. You know, he's a very intelligent young guy. There's no two ways about that. He must have enjoyed brilliant and needed scholarship under President Rawlings or Cocoa scholarship because he's from.
I've not.
Yes.
I've never enjoyed any of this.
Whatever it is, I know what it was. He did his masters at the University of Ghana. I can categorically authoritatively tell you that he enjoyed Get Fund scholarship.
I didn't.
But I said I didn't do anything.
I didn't. You can go and check the records.
So Rawlings also educated.
I didn't enjoy.
So the point I'm trying to build is that Dr. Bawumia had benefit from Kwame Nkrumah. He has Buzia Dumbo tradition credibility he's enjoying. He now has President Rawlings time when his father was the chairman of Council of State. He enjoyed that immunity. He studied abroad with a Ghanaian Lozoda scholarship. He then moved to President Kufuor's time. He was, in fact, he was a board member at Ghana Telecom. That was Ghana. What was it before I changed to Vodafone? Ghana Telecom was Ghana Tech. Yes.
Yeah, Ghana Telecom.
Yes.
Ghana Telecom.
Yes, he was a board member. Then he became a deputy governor. I'm told, I heard, and I've also heard somewhere that Manfo Safo and co were people who brought him on board. I've heard and told.
As in the back of governor.
Yes.
Okay.
I've also heard him said it was Aliu Mahama who brought him. And today on the poll, they say it's President Kufuor. Whoever brings is not a problem. We have come to a stage where all those kind of alignment and those things should stop. I am not against Dr. Bawumia becoming a flag bearer. He's a northern brother. I will want the two northerners to meet, then everybody know his level. I want people to know their smoothness level. I want people to know what it takes in the northern region. And the people in the northern region, if you go to Solatuna Kaba now, you will see that it's a polyclinic. If you take the Fufusu Sola Damango, where the SS road used to kill a lot of people, they will know. It's Excellency John Dramani Mahama has constructed it.
Which road?
Fufusu Sola.
Are you sure you were the one who constructed it?
Hey, please.
Are you sure?
No, it means don't travel. It means you don't travel.
Go and check your records. We did it.
Fufusu Sola to
did that road.
That road to Damango was constructed by President John Dramani Mahama.
You are lying.
The people will know. And the people from Nakpayeli Junction going to Longi, from Longi to Pandai, from Pandai to run away to Katajeli to Banda, we understand. And the people from Pepesu, rather to Breoniase, from Breoniase to Peve, from Peve to Nkwanta, we now know. And the people from there will now know when President Mahama left the roads. And then the people from Papaye to Mangwakura, rather to Bonache, to Pasa, will now understand how they are suffering because their road and the contractor are sparked. But they get to Sidi, to Damanko, they will tell you how they are enjoying. Now the people from Bembela to Yendi will tell you what President John Mahama have done. You now go, and you move to Boga, and you see the regional hospital that President Mahama has done. And those people will tell you, you go to Bendere and go to Boku. These are two northerners. They will tell you what President Mahama has done. I don't know whether they have taken the road from China, from China to Golu, from Golu to Tumu to Lamusi to Kani, then you move to Lora. That now it will take almost 17 hours to travel instead of 1 hour. Now President John Mahama has given the contract to the contractors to build. Your people came to cancel the contract. They said that people don't deserve Cocoa Road. And you think and believe as sitting here that you want somebody that has bought paint and brush and went and painted a mosque. But you've forgotten, under the supervision of President John Dramani Mahama, you look at the mosques in every community that have been built with NGOs in partnership with government. That the people they don't know. You recall very well, painfully, the Islamic communities raised a point that in the gynecology center, the feel is immoral in Islam for a male doctor to take care of their wives. President John Dramani Mahama quickly do what? Trained female doctors to Cuba, you remember? Almost about 40 of them, and deploy them to Islamic zones so that they can critically take care of their patients. You could recall, and you call it the Islamic English and Arabic schools. President John Dramani Mahama really recruited Islamic instructors across all the schools in this country, which I was a deputy CEO at the youth employment by then. So I was in charge of Agric. I was not part of this. But with that, we were able to deploy teachers across the country.
So all of these are against Baumia's.
So when you think
statement about being nurtured by,
I told you categorically, being nurtured by whatever it is, it is not what we are looking at. It is what we are looking at: who can take care of the country, who can give a daily meal, who can make sure that you have good health, you have education, you have everything. So
whoever nurtured you, whoever planted a seed,
he should be disappointed if President Kufuor under him that he has done his best, that President Rollins brought agent insurance, then he came to continue with mutual health insurance, then President Mills came to construct national health insurance, President John Dramani Mahama came to increase the drug list, then he came to cancel. It should be a shame that he has an opportunity of lending people in this country. You recall, he will tell you down Quadrumbo tradition that he's fat because the father has an history about that. So if you have an opportunity to have all this training from these people and you are leading an economic management team, we have a shamble and crippled economy. We have economy that is suffocating. You should know that we have now come with a politics that we have a political hapamatopies who look far. Meanwhile, just closer, you don't look at it.
Okay.
So these are the things we're looking at. So
wrap up for me.
So wrapping up, he quickly mentioned that yes, he's the head of economic management team, and he does an advisory body. So he doesn't have an authority to govern, but he cannot tell you. But this gentleman has done a lot for this country. What did he do? He didn't tell us what he do. Digitization. You've forgotten that somebody built a digital center. You've forgotten that somebody has strengthened a data center. You've forgotten that somebody has built fiber optics center across the country. But somebody came to use apps, develop software. It's a champion.
Okay.
These are things that let's look at.
All right, now let's move on to our next issue. And we want to go to Ho Bangkok, where the issue of the flood happened. You know, millions of properties have been destroyed. And like we started in the morning, we said that almost every time when we talk about floods, it's here in Accra that we have, the major floods happening. Unfortunately, we don't know what happens at the other places. But over the weekend, it was totally a disaster. Manasseh, there seems to be another issue coming from the other regions. This is something that we've seen here in Accra many times.
Worker housing.
Yes, so over the weekend I was surprised to see the videos of Ho being flooded.
Very serious.
I was so scandalized because I thought flooding was something that was quite prevalent here in Accra, and sometimes maybe in Kumasi. So I was shocked, and to all those who are affected, I mean, we send our sympathies also to them. I know as a matter of national security issue, the Regional Coordinating Council is meeting to have conversations on what happened to ensure we are able to bring some solutions to the flooding issues because it doesn't happen often. So since we've had this for the very first time, I want to be sure we are able to have conversations to see how best we'll be able to build the drainage system in Ho and by extension in other parts of the country, not to concentrate only in Accra. Because issues of flood is quite serious. This time, lots of properties were destroyed.
Yeah.
Next time, if we are not careful, it will be loss of human lives, and we don't want it to get to that extent. And so I'm very confident that whatever will come out of the meetings by the regional minister and the security apparatus over there would be something that the government would provide resources to support, so that going forward, we will be able to ensure that we don't have incidences like this happening at Ho or in other parts of the country. And so I am also confident that government would continue to increase the allocations to the Ministry of Works and Housing to ensure they are able to. I must put on record that this government has invested a lot. When you look at the budgetary allocation to the Ministry of Works and Housing, and when you consider the wonderful works that Honorable Francis Asensu is doing, Bachi Asensu is doing, I mean, it's quite great, and it all depends on the kind of resources government has given. We have invested a lot in controlling flood than any other government in the history of this country. We continue to do a lot more so that incidences of flood will be something of the past. And we would also continue to provide support to all those who lost their ways. I mean, this is not something we want to hear. And we are very sorry for these things. And we know we would put together some things. I saw pictures too of the store. And I mean, it's a lot. There's been other allegations too as well. And so whatever be the case, government would investigate into it. Are
you confident about that? I
am very confident. You see, if you've been
because the next time we're having this conversation again in Ho, because you see it has started. Now, if we're not able to put measures in place to make sure we stop this, I'm sure in the next 3 months or a year after, we'll come here and speak about the same issue in the same place.
Exactly.
Where this has happened.
That's what I'm saying. As a matter of national security issue, the leaders are meeting to investigate into the matter and also to court government support to invest. The drainages
so
will
it
have
won't
to
be just
expanded.
meeting.
No, it won't be
we
just
have
meeting.
Met, we have discussed, and that's it. And the next year we'll have this conversation again, and then we'll be referring to the meeting that happened.
No, it won't be just meeting. I mean, meeting without action would be unnecessary. So
it has been the case most times anyway.
No, so that's, and I'm saying for who this is the first time. I'm not too sure, but this seems to be the first time we are hearing a thing of the sort. And so once the meeting is concluded, government is willing to release some funds to ensure we are able to expand the drainage and to invest to ensure we don't have incidences like this again, not only in Ho, but in other parts of the country. If you've been to the Volta region, it's a very wonderful place.
Very beautiful place, of course.
Yes, very, very beautiful. You know, I was there in 2014 or so, and I was like, I think I should relocate to this area. Everything is wonderful over there. And so when I heard this incident, I was very sad. But what I can say is that government is committed to ensuring that one, we investigate into the main causes, whether it had to be with the drainages that were maybe quite small or whatever, so that going forward, we'll be able to ensure we don't have these incidences again.
Okay. Not long ago, we had another issue like that happening in Kumasi, if you remember. Yeah. And I had somebody say, hey, Kumasi too started flat and all of that. You know, and it seems to be moving small to other parts of the country.
If viewers want to know, and viewers care to know, the gentleman sitting here was appointed by President Akufo-Addo on government spokesperson on economy. And the last thing he's been to who is 2014. And you come and tell the economy is well. Things are moving on well.
What has the last time of me traveling got to do with the economy?
Where he went to was even in the Volta Hotel. Or it was at Sky what
see, I attended the wedding.
Never mentioned any.
I attended the wedding.
He went for luxury. I mean,
luxury. 2014, I was in school.
So he didn't even check how the economy is. I was even a student. So and he sit down and tell you,
I completed my first degree in 2014. If you care to know. So by then I was a student. I wasn't even working. So you see all these hotel luxury. They are all lies.
I have been very quiet when we are talking about. You see, it is sudden. When government appoint gentlemen, people who sit in only one corner and think all is well.
Did I say all is well?
When you say, oh, Volta is a very nice place, it's a beautiful place. We're not talking about the beautility of it. You had a ministry of Zongo development and inner city. You understand? Inner city. 4 years. So as an economic spokesperson, you should know about the inner city. Look, I am not even a spokesperson or anything. No, I am just a communicator from a party. Ask me any of the villages in Ghana, and tell me when I just returned from Takoradi. You know, the whole of this week, Friday was heavy rain in Takoradi. You remember when I went to Takoradi there was another flood there. Just last 2 weeks. Kumasi, as you are saying, Kumasi, a NADMO coordinator died. He's a Muslim. He died through flood. That was last season. You're talking about Hobankwe. How on this earth will Hobankwe be flooded? It's not possible. It has never happened before. No. It is just one thing. Government of Ghana told us that you went to World Bank, you got $270 million US, and that you want to use for drainages. Just of recent, Asansu, who is a hard-working one and whatever it is, said he has released about, I'm to be corrected, close to 100 million Ghana cedi to coastal areas for drainages. Auditor General came, what did he say? He said you are giving the money to party boys. He said it. Auditor General said you are giving the money to party boys. The money is given to Kojoku. The money is given to Menace. Meanwhile, Menace is in charge of the economy, not in charge of. I am just making a point.
Don't mention my name. I use that as an example. Please. And in the first. The Auditor General is not giving any money to party boys. He's even wrong.
Who received the money?
Am I a contractor? Richard, you know I'm not a contractor.
Implicating for that.
And he's even lying. Mentioning that the Auditor General says he's giving money to party boys. That's a lie.
Auditor General report says.
Money to which party boys?
Auditor General report says, read the Auditor General report. He said,
download it for us.
The money was given to people who has no expectation, who are not expertise in drainages. You understand?
This is the Kumasi flat, or which other one?
No, all the floods.
All the floods.
And so they don't even know. They don't even know how to do the drainages.
Is that what the statement said?
That is the Auditor General's report. Please. Read it. But when you go to economic management team,
I've not seen this. You are even lying. On which page? Which page?
So your duty,
which page?
Your duty. You can pull it out. You have a better laptop. You pull it out.
You are mentioning you want me to pull it out for you.
Auditor
Show us your reference
on drainages. It's there.
He's only doing propaganda.
No,
now he's saying I'm a contractor. KMJ. I didn't know I'm a contractor.
No,
I didn't know I've been awarded contract from Minister for Works and Housing. You sitting here.
Your duty, your responsibility as government spokesperson on the economy. You can't call all sectors of the ministries. You must seek information. Maybe they don't invite you for meetings.
I have, but what you are saying is a lie.
So if they invite you for meetings,
that they give money to party boys, that's a lie.
You will see
that is a lie. I have the report, and I've not seen what you are saying.
Oh, listen, no,
I'm asking you to give me the page.
I am not give me the page. I am not sitting here for you. Over 1 million Ghanaians are listening. I've given them. You can Google it if you are refusing to Google. But if they say President Nana Akufo-Addo done free education, you will tell me the line up for the free education. But if they say buffer stock, people are sleeping on buffer stock and they're not paying them, you will tell me it's not true.
Well, they've left now.
Oh,
the agriculture minister has met them. They've been assurance, and so
you'll be paying them. The only assurance. Oh, shame means
to your shame.
Oh, but did I lie?
Well, they have been there for a few days.
I don't lie.
Yeah.
To your shame, I didn't say you lied. That's it.
I'm not a cook. So the point of the matter is that it's becoming very, very, very unfair to ordinary Ghanaian. The government of Ghana will come and speak good English and then tell us huge amount of money that from the World Bank they've done the disbursement to them and those things, but nothing is working on. Having meetings on these things is not a solution. Look, as Yela said, we'll be saying this for the past 7 years. We'll sit here and talk about it. We'll sit here and talk about it. But I think that the government of Ghana should be valued for money, and that is it's one of our promises. That by January 7th, when we come to government, we will now go and establish value for money office. So any money that will be disbursed to government, the government officials, they should trace up. Let us find out.
Why didn't you do this before 2016?
Oh, so you want me to go back to this state?
Why didn't you do this between 2012 and 2016?
I don't think. So what we did in 2012, 2016 was that every first Saturday of the month, we will do cleanup exercise. I think you are aware. And we're trying to make sure we distribute all the gutters. I mean, communal labor is good.
It was not very consistent, though.
But it was better than today. I mean, when we do something, when the country should continue small, we don't leave it. But in all, what I believe that it's sad, it's not the best news to be hearing.
Okay.
It's not good things to always hear that it's small rains, then the gutters are choked. But you see,
wrap up for me.
I sat here and talk about NPP, I sat here and talk about NDC. It's left with me and you too. All right? As Ghanaians, patriotism is also be a priority. I understand that a lot of waste management companies today are facing issues with dumping sites. And if you even read the Minister of Lands and Minister of Sanitation report, it's damning. It's really damning. You are only seeing the flood. You don't know how people die out of the sanitation issues. Do you know, and are you aware, over 509 children died through bad sanitation? Do you also know government of Ghana lose over $200 million every month, every year on sanitation?
The same issue.
On the same issue. We have no institutions of careful sanitation. The major problem is the way we dump our refuse in the gutters. You understand? But somebody promised us that it was going to make Ghana the cleanest city. Somebody told us that we're now going to swim for a cycle to Lavender Hills. And then we can do fishing, we use a speedboat, and that was what NPP promised us. That we're going to do all those things. Do you also remember, under President John Mahama, Ibrahim started the drainages and they made it politics? So let us have this culture in us. Let's inculcate this in our listen. We should stop dumping refuse in the wrong places. It is very important. Malaria is killing us every day. Children are dying on a daily basis, but we don't even look at it. Media. Maybe today it's Daily Graphic that saw it in Who and reported. Maybe Daily Graphic has not been in Port Repo, has not been in Nanjingo, has not been in Pusupu, has not been in Pena. So how will you know what the flood has happened there? And maybe those people too, there's no MTN or Tigo, there's no network there to call and report. So these are the things we are all suffering.
Okay.
So let us be responsible as Ghanaians. And Manasi, tell your government to stop promising what they can do.
Richard, you stop doing propaganda. Stop doing propaganda. Stop lying.
So Richard,
that the money has been given to because those things are not
but you said it.
You said that have given money to party people. That is false.
Over 117 million Ghana cedis were actually spoken about in the Auditor General's reports.
Yes.
Which the Auditor General was poking the House Ministry.
Production has done
so,
no, but he mentioned my name. Did you
That's the aspect I want to address now.
Did you find my name in the report?
That's the aspect I want to address.
Did you find my name in the report?
In the report. Even though
no, Richard, if you find my name, let me go and ask.
There was the issue of maintenance. There was the issue of...
Did I mention his name?
You mentioned my name.
What's your name?
That people like Manasseh...
Your name is... What's your name?
You are referring to me.
He's Manasseh. You made mention of
no,
you mentioned my name.
in this country.
Oh, come on.
Please.
No,
Richard.
Mention your name.
Richard, you mentioned my name.
No.
I had no idea I was a contractor.
That's okay.
No,
I didn't know I was a contractor.
Richard...
I didn't know I was a contractor.
There was that in the Auditor General's report. Let's just leave it there. But his name was not mentioned in that. There were several issues that were spoken about, including some monies of about 117 million Ghana cedis that were in there. But his name was not mentioned there. So one other issue that I want to take a look at this morning is a very sad situation, and we've just been informed. So 39-year-old Linda Ejia died at the Central Flower Hospital in Ketu South municipality of the Volta region after two nurses refused to treat her unless she paid a cash amount of 400 Ghana cedis. Now, per the reports, Linda, her 19-year-old son, cried and begged to be allowed to pay via mobile money, but were refused as the nurses nonchalantly scrolled through their mobile phones. Now, the family of Linda are therefore appealing to the director of the Ghana Health Service to launch an investigation into the death of their daughter and the alleged conduct of the nurses on duty. There have been several cases like this.
Sure.
I mean, you go to places like the hospital and you realize that many of these people who are supposed to be working for Ghana are actually working for themselves. They're always on their phones, they're always doing something else without even necessarily looking at the issue that has been brought to them. Manasseh, this is supposed to be a big worry to you.
Yes, it is. I mean, deepest condolences to the family of the young lady who has passed on. We've always had conversations about the attitude of nurses. And in the first place, I've also followed this story. And it was also reported that indeed the hospital has these mobile money services. Obviously. So at a point in time, I think they requested to pay via Momo. And the nurses said, no, you have to go and cash the money and bring it. But reading a different story from some of the directors at the hospital, they said they have mobile money services over there. So it comes down to our attitude, especially the attitude of nurses, not to denigrate them, but I mean, over the years and over the period, we've had several conversations. When you look at the general attitude of some nurses, not all, some of them, it is very appalling, and it is so uncalled for. Government is investigating into this, and you see, whatever the investigation would bring forth, it would not bring back, but it wouldn't bring back the lost life. And so I believe the Ghana Health Service should be very interested in training the nurses very well, because when you look at the complaints we receive from them every now and then, it is so off the balance. I mean, sometimes you go to hospitals, especially the government hospitals, you never would find this in the private hospitals. And sometimes you see these same nurses, they'll be working in the government hospital and they'll be working at the private hospitals. Their attitude to work at the government hospital is entirely different and very bad. But when these same people go to the private hospitals, they are so welcoming and lovely and so nice. And so I think it's about time the Ghana Health Service would have to, conduct a lot of survey and monitor them, especially when it comes to the attitude to work and all of that, because these are incidences that shouldn't happen. I think people should be punished for this. I mean, because it's quite hard. 400 cedis is not even much.
No, I mean,
it's not much for you to even. I mean, it's difficult having conversations around this. So, for me, I know government is investigating into this, and I wish punitive measures should be meted out after the investigations. Those nurses who were so-called or who are allegedly said to be on their phones, not to pay attention to the pay, I think they should be dispelled at once. And I think this should be done to serve as deterrent. And going forward, the modus operandi of these nurses, especially at the government hospitals, should be checked. We are tired as Ghanaians of the kind of attitudes these nurses put up when sometimes they talk to you roughly. I've also experienced these things several times. They talk to you roughly, they don't care and all those things. Not all. but some of them, I think it's not called for. We go to the hospitals to benefit from certain services, and they are being paid for that. And so I think it's not warranted for them to be putting up these things. Government would continue to ensure we are able to invest in them. But if they continue to put up some of these, it's not surprising the NDC cancelled their allowance. But it's not something we seek to do. So for government, we'll continue to support them. We love them as nurses, because we see when you look at the work they are doing for us, it is very huge. And without them, we'll be found wanting. And so we plead with them that, I mean, especially the young ones, that they should be careful with the way they handle patients and even people who come there. You have no idea who the person will be. Someone could just be in his casual where you would have no idea who that person is. You talk harshly to the person, next time you find yourself in front of the person seeking for another employment opportunity or something of the sort. And so on the part of the nurses, we'll continue to encourage them and plead with them that they should check their attitudes towards people. And government will also continue to invest in them so that they'll be able to give off their best. They need a lot of training when it comes to their attitude towards people. And it's something I think we should have broader conversations about so that collectively we'll be able to nip this in the bud.
Okay. Richard, by extension, we've seen other government institutions also, go through same. Like certain places when you go, a government institution when you go, and the kind of service that you're given, it's terrible.
Yes.
And this one, from every government,
you see,
it's the same thing.
I've always say something. I have a background in health, and
Manasseh didn't know
yes.
you were
when I understand, and I am a communication specialist, but I believe that you agree with me as a media person. Misinformation is more than HIV. Misinformation is very dangerous. It kills a lot. And that is where we have gotten to. People who do not have an idea of in the ward or the system in the hospitals will come and say government is doing this and then this is part. It is good, it is sad somebody's is passed on. In the ward, if you ask every nurse or you open your own lines, when a patient's died, I will just come and tell you, maybe F9, female ward 9 on this bed expired. It's normal. It's expiration. So a feeling of an ordinary person will not be a feeling of a nurse. You know why? It's ethical to protect every patient. But the issue we are talking about is quite paramedical.
Which means what?
Yes. A nurse doesn't take cash in the ward. No. There's no nurse that will go and take cash in the ward. There are paramedicals who take money. The accountants, the OPD, where you take your OPD card and those things. So if you say the nurse wanted to say you should pay before he services you, how come?
I'm thinking, and yes, I'm not holding brief for Linda, but I'm thinking that the nurse used here could be a staff whose responsibility is to receive
it is quite
payment.
Paramedical.
So whether you are a nurse or you are whatever, if your duty is to receive money, and the person thinks that
that's what I'm coming to.
You are a nurse.
So there's no big deal with that. When we want to investigate issues, we should have information, so we know where to tackle it from. Because every patient that come on arrival at the ward with emergency will be given the first aid before the patient relative even attend to taking an OPD card.
Is that what happens?
So I don't know. That's why I use the word
because there have been instances where people have not even been given attention or first aid or whatever it is because they don't have a card and they have to go. And I've seen this before. So they have to go and register card and all of those things before that person is taken care of. We've seen emergency cases.
That's what I'm saying. It's quite paramedical because cases of emergency goes direct to the emergency ward. Okay, and for them. They are just rapid response to health. If that is where the lady died, we should blame nurses. Okay, but if you say that lady died in the ward or died in the consultation room, that one, because even before you even go to consultation room, you need a folder. I use this word because as I'm a communication specialist and I have health background, I have worked in the theater for 3 years. Okay. So that's why you and I have to use our 4 Ws and 1 each. You understand? Why? what happened when? Which other hospital is it? I think it's a regional hospital.
Yeah.
A regional hospital of that.
K2 South.
K2 South. Okay, so that would be a district hospital. So when we are going, I'm just giving this information because it is becoming unbecoming in the health sector. Patients died just on way. Understand? In the consultation room, I've always tell people. In the consultation room.
We understand this was an emergency case.
So if it's an emergency case, that is where we need to blame the nurses.
Because that's the only time that somebody would have to pay money.
We shouldn't be misinformed.
Exactly. So if the person is paying the money.
No, we should know what is happening. Even if it's an emergency ward, the nurse have no obligation to ask for any money. All he needs is to call on the medical officer to come and do prescription. They'll go and then take care. A nurse, excuse me. The duty of a nurse in the ward is not to treat the patient. It's to take guardians for the medical officer. You are just a nursing patient, like a nursing mother. I don't know whether people understand that. You are a nursing mother, like a nursing mother. Yours is to give breastfeed, give the child say, the patient say, I want this, I want that. He has no obligation of have any financial exchange with the person. You take the prescription, you read the folder, this is the time to give medication, it will do. So what was the duty of the nurse so claim?
She refused to treat the person because
what
the person was supposed to pay 400 Ghana cedis.
To pay 400 Ghana cedis to who? To the nurse or to the facility?
The facility. I mean, entirely. But that was the nurse who was supposed to have done the treatment. Yeah. So the nurse refused the treatment because the woman was
maybe unable. I wanted to have a fair idea.
No, I understand where you're coming from.
Maybe prescription was done. Okay, and the patient need to go and buy the drugs. Okay, but if the patient also saying that they said he wanted to, was the patient with a relative?
No, it was with the mother. The mother, that's the person who is speaking. That's the 39-year-old Linda that is speaking.
Yes.
So this is the case. It says that the nurses refused to treat her unless she paid a cash amount of 400 Ghana cedis. Now, per the report, Linda actually said that the 19-year-old who was the one that was sick, and the 39-year-old, so she begged that she be allowed to pay the money that is being requested by the nurse via mobile money.
So that's why.
And the person said no.
So that's why if it's happening. So
but the issue is
my point is that
why they were busy on their phones when an emergency case like this needed our attention.
So it shouldn't be a financial issue. Because even if the patient's relative want to pay money, you pay maybe at the account section. Okay, I don't know what I mean. So when
so did the nurse tell the person to go to the account section?
I wasn't there. I am just saying that for the sake of open investigation, so that we can look at this very well. You understand? I am not happy of the situation. Not at all. Not at all. I will never and ever support this. But when issues like this happen, we don't find out who caused it. We'll keep on saying nurses. Sometimes it's a medical doctor. Sometimes it's the accountant. Sometimes it's the pharmacy. You understand? We all know that today, if you go to most of the hospitals, even though there's pharmacy, they will prescribe drugs for you to go outside the premises to go and buy.
That is if they don't have it.
Yeah. Oh, sometimes it will
there are cases where they don't have it, and then they'll say, okay.
Now, what they do, most of the time what they do is that when it's not even part of the health insurance drug list. You understand?
They will intentionally say they don't have that.
They don't have it because government is not paying the health insurance.
That's not true.
Oh no, I'm not trying to. I'm not bringing government in.
You are doing
this
propaganda with this.
Please. Oh no, please. I am just saying that because I have worked in the world. Okay.
So were you doing that?
Are you really listening to what I'm saying?
I'm listening.
I am giving the idea to support investigation. You understand? So that we can support investigation. Things like this, I've always said that this is what the media has said though. Maybe yesterday about 70 or 20 of them died like that, but nobody has heard it. It is terrible in the facilities. We agree on that. But I am just saying that if a nurse demanded money in the ward to treat a patient, okay, that one alone is enough evidence for her not to only be sacked, but such a person is a candidate to jail. You understand? Yeah. Because the reality is that you don't have any business dealing with cash in the world. Emergency cases, even you the nurse, some of them, I understand they are very stubborn. They don't even take care of the patients. They don't mind. But when we are doing investigation on issues like this, let's look at it critically. Because a lot of people are losing lives. Look, just imagine. Today, nice handsome gentleman with your designer socks and those things sitting here, somebody carelessly will have made you lost your life. Look at the education you are giving to people. So it's a responsibility. And the health institutions, I would not blame them, but in the world, that is why they only have an in charge in the world.
Okay.
So we should look at it critically.
Look at two sides.
The two sides of it, and then we'll take a critical analysis on this. And this should be an issue of it must stop. And whoever is involved should not just be an issue of sitting on TV here wearing political suits and those things, doing NDC NPP. We should look at it as about health. We should look at it about killing a generation. And that's why you don't know. When a patient dies now, as you are saying, he must have this 90 years old girl. Look at about 2,000, 3,000 generation is dead. They could have become a member of parliament. They could have become a Ghana spokesperson on misinformation on the economy. They could have become somebody.
Under NDC.
So
so Richard,
yes.
Thank you, and thanks for making it. You have a health background too. Now, this one says hi to you all on Joy Prime. Thanks for bringing issues that concern us all to the table. It's supposed to be educative, so please let the NPP and NDC young guys involved in your discussions know that they need to be very honest in their submissions to ensure that we have future leaders and not politicians. For us young educated people, they need to see the mistakes of their seniors and seek to effect changes for a better Ghana. Please, do they have ladies in their communication teams? If yes, where are they? If no, why?
We have.
So they don't see, and that's very true, I guess. I'm sure the person has monitored for a while now and has not seen any lady amongst the conversations that we have here on the show. That should be the reason. Ujwa Sempa Furniture Works says, good morning once again to everyone from Ujwa Sempa. And then this Fidel says, good morning, host Fidel from Tadi Kwesimintim. Okay, so Richard was coming from Tadi a couple of days ago. Anyway, so those are some of the messages that we have. But you guys have female communicators.
Oh, we have a lot. Very energetic, intelligent communicators. So
we should be bringing
maybe your production can find a deal for them.
Yeah. And all women.
Just find a deal. I'll get
some of the media houses, I think they do.
Okay, that would be good.
Maybe because your production doesn't do. That's what they don't do.
No, they will take all that. My producers will take all that. I think we should do the balance it a bit.
Sure.
Nice one. Let's move on to the next thing that I want to talk about. This one I wanted us to talk about when we're discussing the Baumia issue, but I'll come back to it. Mahama says that vote buying money could have been used to take off the buffer stock issue that we have, going on. Manasseh, I know you disagree, but
he agreed.
No, I know he will disagree, but I think that it's a good call in terms of the buffer stock situation. It could have been avoided over 2 years. I don't think it's been fair, when you talk about those involved.
I mean, vote buying, I wish he provided a lot of evidence.
Well, he cited the Kumawu and the Asin North elections categorically, that those vote buying in these by-elections could have been actually used to take care of the buffer stock situation that we have.
I mean, on the part of government, I didn't see any vote buying. Of course, there's been some allegations sharing money, NDC, NPP, but what I saw with Kumewu was infrastructure development, building roads. And you see, most of these were projects we had begun long ago, but we went ahead to continue. And to today, we have some contractors on site. I mean,
there have been discussions around the fact that those machines have been moved from Asin North. Yes, I know you mentioned Kumawu, but I'm just opposing that to what happened. So why is it that Kumawu is still ongoing, but Asin North, it's made to believe that it's alleged that the machines have been moved from the place after the elections.
Alleged, unless we
exactly
confirm.
what I said.
But I am with my last checks.
The last checks as to when? 2 days ago, 3 days ago, a week
somewhere
ago?
last week or so.
The machines are still there.
They were on site for most of the projects. If some of them have moved, I'm not in the known.
Okay.
But you see, the former president is only doing his usual politicking here.
Oh, but his advice, and please just...
He's only doing his usual politicking. Vote buying. The NDC also peddled a lot of vote buying in these 2 by-elections. In fact, as I said, what the government did was to even hastily and quickly bring some developmental projects to the good people of Asin North and even Kumewu. That is what we have done in the short period. And it is true that when you go to these 2 areas, we have done a lot of projects over there, but we had to expedite some of them to ensure that they also benefit from sports infrastructure by even building some of these astroturfs for them, rural telephony, water projects, road projects, school projects, and a lot more. That is what we have done. I mean, I thought there will be a lot more constructive criticism in this regard on his speech, except to do the usual politics that, vote and those things. I don't see what is seen for government to take in this regard. Don't forget that when it comes to elections, there are dynamics. And when it comes to elections, it is very clear that, of course, both the NDC, the NPP, all other parties have their own ways of managing the electoral processes. And let's not confuse ourselves there. You see, the monies that go into all these elections are not government money. We are in power. Of course, as a party, we have our own resources, which is different from that of the government. Government will not lift money for you to go and do things because the party is in. I don't know for NDC, but that is not what we do. And so I thought there will be more constructive criticism in this regard. But considering what he's doing, I think it reminds me of the usual adage when he left office and what the vice president used to say of him, that he was incompetent. And for me, even in opposition, I think they are displaying a high level of incompetence. I thought there would be better conversations. Of course, there is issue with the buffer stock. Now, they are not demonstrating again. We've given them assurances and we are making provision to ensure that as soon as possible, we are able to pay them. I thought there will be conversations that, yes, this is the problem we have at hand. Why don't we look at this way? Why don't we consider maybe raising money from this end or from this end so that we'll be able to deal with the situation at hand?
So the references to the by-elections were
something that is something that you yourself, you engage, something that your party was also involved in, sharing fertilizer, what's the name? Boots, a lot more, even money and clothes and a lot of things. Then you raise constructive criticism as to how government today will be able to raise money to pay the buffer stock suppliers of which we are owing. That is what is important. But for him to even raise these things about, vote buying, there's something big his party was even involved in. I think I do not find this to be quite constructive enough to help us propel the country forward. That's why I'm saying, for me, it is just another political talk, demonstrating high-level incompetence in this regard.
Richard,
nothing more.
So let me thank your viewer who sent a message that we are young guys and then we should do analysis based on future and look at it. The mistake our seniors have done, those shouldn't repeat it.
Yeah.
And I've taken that advice very well. And from now, I've been a changed person. And we must do it and look at future. We must do it and look at tomorrow. So the whole problem is that's what the gentleman advised. Assuming President Mahama even said that, the problem is that the buffer stock have not been able to pay the food suppliers, the senior high schools, for some time now. And it has been a problem as a nation. Over the week, our mothers and brothers and sisters from all over the country slept at buffer stock for 3 days without bathing, without pasting, without eating. Not because of anything. The buffer stock, the NDC set up buffer stock company to make that we have enough buffer in case of any emergency, right? And the duty of it is to make sure they have a reserve. In the United States of America, today, their buffer can even give us about feed the whole US for almost 13 years before they will look for a rebuffer. In case of there's war, there's season. But in Ghana here, when you had COVID-19, we couldn't even supply food for 17 seconds. That's the problem. The only thing the buffer stock was able to do is to supply tilapia for at least an hour. People were crying just on a zone. So let's look at it very well. Now, the buffer stock duty is to do what? People might not understand what buffer stock. Their duty is to make sure the Minister of Agri, in collaboration with the Minister of Education, they supply Ghana Prison Service food, Ghana Immigration Service, all the services. Then they feed the senior high schools. Okay? But now, what they need to do is that to buy from our local farmers so that we'll be able to boost agriculture. In the wisdom of His Excellency John Dramani Mahama, what we did was that we went for a loan to start from Canada, to start to boost in the, that's what they call it, planting for food and jobs. You know, went over 200 million Canadian US dollars to start so that the buffer can feed. So then we have another model at the Ministry of Youth Employment, that's Youth in Agri. We assemble the young men, give them small fund, they farm, when they farm, they come to sell the product to buffer stock. Of course, yeah. So the buffer stock will now buy the product. When you come to a way bill, you have it, direct cash. Then they got the 1 year or whatever, they deduct what they invest in you with no interest. Maybe it's not aware. So we have all these measures down, and we started this. So even before we left, we have reserved over so many tons. I can't give even in maize. You know, we started the maize production. That is the argument that also makes that. You see that the poultry industry now is very expensive because of feed. If you go to the poultry farmers now, people are even discounting their poultry because of feed. But we have all this, the green maize and those things that we started in this. So this is the measures we put. But now, you have not been able to pay the people. But you went to Komawu, you say vote buying, and you said the NDC bought vote. Yes, if you say vote buying in NDC, do you know what we did? We injected $250 million in Komawu and part of Eastern region for water. You know it. If you go there, the NDC has done it. That is why we have moved. We have made impact in Komawu. But the little they had, I don't know what it was from buffer stock. They were giving cup of rice. You are aware? You saw it. They were sharing rice to the people in Komawu. Couldn't that rice supply for buffer stock so that they could have used to feed students? That doesn't make sense.
So that's what the former president was referring to.
Look at Asinov. The NDC secured $79 million from Praso from this Manson Kwanta to Praso Road. I don't know they know that road. To consult based on because of our natural resources. It was when it came to during this election, the park excavators. I was in Jakubu just on this week. I took that road to Manson Kwanta to down place, and I went to Achichikuru, then came down to Anyang Kwanta and entered Kumasi. I am telling you, all the excavators have been packed. We know today there's a currency called Chasopoku.
Wrapping up for me.
Yeah, we know there's a currency called Chasopoku now.
The NPP, he's starting the propaganda. The NPP, which currency is called Chasopoku?
200 currency. It's called Chasopoku.
Where is that?
That's
one?
Just
the
propaganda.
NPP was given
which
200 Ghana cedi to every delegate.
Issued by
and Charles didn't win still.
And how much did you give? Were you not giving fertilizers?
The NDC went there.
Did you not also give money?
The clinics, the hospital were built, and told the people of injustice the little money they got from IMF. Instead of them departing some to
which money from IMF?
Instead of them departing some to
IMF money is not used for campaign.
Take your time. Instead of them departing some of the money to
no one uses IMF's money for campaign. I mean, Richard, don't lie.
Okay, so
don't lie.
Gentlemen, my time is up. Unfortunately, we have to go. Be quick for me.
So all the money they departed to those areas will have been able to pay the buffer stock. Listen, so if the former president who care about the student, who has started building communities in high schools, who has even started progressive free education, is caring
progressing what? Free education.
And I'm sitting here doing
something he himself wants to.
But we want to pray. I've changed. I told you. We want to pray. We want to pray.
He has no message for Ghanaians. Okay, so please.
When we
he has no message for Ghanaians. Then you are aware
that we will be able to continue all the uncompleted projects. Instead of rushing to start another one.
Did you complete the ones President Kufuor?
Let me say a big thank you to Manasseh and Richard for coming through this morning. That will be our time for News Flash this morning here on the show. We'll have some more coming up. And Siedu has got what's trending and your birthday wishes coming through. And a bit later, we're going to be looking at our divorce series as well. Today, we're looking at custody. And of course, we've got Rich O also coming through this morning as well. Let's get some of the messages that have come through here on the show. Okay, let me try and get them. But I'm still reminding you that you can go to the Echo Safari Valley. I'll tell you more about that. But let me just get into some of the messages. This one says, good morning, please. I'm a health worker too. And the little addition I want to say is most people in the rural areas usually thinks they experience those symptoms because they have urinated on certain weeds and grass, not knowing it's an infection. So let's keep doing the health education more often. Doctor, I salute you guys. The show is really fun watching. All right, so this is a previous conversation that we had. I'm sure there's supposed to be a link to what you also.
I'm a doctor.
I'm not a doctor.
There was a conversation we had on the urine tracts, the symptoms and all of that. And I had that conversation. I'm sure that should have a relation to this.
It's one of the major causes. And I'm not here to talk on health, but see, if you go to most of the world, you see them with their catheter, the NG tubes and catheter. You understand the situation.
Yeah.
Urinary infection is one of some of them. They come.
Okay.
Especially those who do more of the things.
Okay, so very well, gentlemen. That'll be hopefully we see you guys next week, right? Awesome.